That's right, guys. I'm live in the Vista, and after a record-breaking Black Friday, experts are expecting Cyber Monday to do pretty much the same thing, but many are wondering how much inflation is actually going to impact those numbers.
If you do get in a collision with a deer,
pull over, call the police, document your accident, and notify your insurance company.
I really just fell in love with them and wanted to share those pumpkins with our community.
And as you can see, these aren't just your ordinary orange pumpkins. These are actually Dutch fork pumpkins to a category 4 in the coming days, with winds possibly being sustained at 140 miles per hour. So that's going to push up. Definitely going to want to grab a jacket or two before you head out the door in the morning. I'll have more on that later on in the show. On Friday, we're going to be sitting at 55 and sunny with a low of 31. Fans who attend this event on Saturday will have the opportunity to see boats like the Sea Hunt and the Tidewater, along with 30 other different types of boats that are all locally made here in Columbia.
Following Election Day, many voters expected to see a red wave. But around the country, Americans are seeing pretty close calls on the ballots. Some might even take weeks to find out who the winner is, but here in South Carolina, we found out in just a few hours. And most nominees who won a seat in the Palmetto State happen to lean toward the right, something we've continued to see for years.
Well, South Carolina remains a very predictable state, and South Carolina is not going to be a purple state unless Democrats gain substantially in numbers and influence within the state.
Last night, Governor Henry McMaster won re-election in South Carolina, and so did Senator Tim Scott, who will continue representing South Carolina in the United States Senate. Our state has a total of 7 House seats, and only one was won by a Democrat.
Not a lot of surprises in South Carolina.
Nationally, political analysts expected Republicans to have a clear majority in both the House and Senate, but right now it appears to be much more even than previously expected.
Considering, a week or so ago, it was seen as almost a certainty that the Republicans would take the House. The fact that it's still up in the air at this point is unexpected.
Our country continues to become more divided, leaving many to question why.
The middle ground, which is where you would expect the waves to be shifting, basically barely exists anymore. So if you've got a hard left and a hard right, there's not going to be a lot of change.
For now, it remains unclear if or when the two parties will be able to pull votes from one another and make the quote-unquote wave happen. In Columbia, for Carolina News, I'm Joey Mattei.
That's right, guys. I'm live in the Vista, and after a record-breaking Black Friday, experts are expecting Cyber Monday to do pretty much the same thing, but many are wondering how much inflation is actually going to impact those numbers.
Black Friday sales hit a whopping $9.12 billion this year, but not in the most traditional way. With numbers so high, they're record-breaking, but for some local businesses, Black Friday was not as busy as anticipated.
This year, we kind of took a bit of a hit because the Clemson-Carolina game was in Clemson this year. So our traffic was down about 50%.
Starting as early as Thursday, shoppers spent around $5 billion on Saturday, and Sunday shoppers spent $9.5 billion. Experts are expecting Cyber Monday to grow by more than 5% from last year, with sales exceeding $11 billion. Department of Retailing's senior instructor Karen Edwards is expecting an all-time high.
So we're looking at somewhere around $950 billion. And if we hit that, it will be an all-time high.
Many Americans are having to dip into their savings accounts this holiday season.
The record sales that we're expecting are not just inflationary. It's people wanting to get out there, get back to normal, have a good holiday experience.
Edwards feels this is causing many consumers to be much more selective with their purchases this year, especially as the average spending for shoppers is continuing to increase.
The average consumer, though, will spend about $835 on holiday gifts this year. That is an all-time high.
And because of this, wallets might not be stretching so much this year, but holiday sales are expected to increase by up to 8%. and that's according to the National Retail Federation. Now, a gift that many are going to switch to this year is gift cards, just because they simply help you stick to a safe budget. In the Vista, for Carolina News, I'm Joey Mattei. Thanksgiving is just 2 days away, and many people are planning on frying their turkeys for dinner. But they don't understand how dangerous this method of cooking a bird can be. In previous years, South Carolina has been ranked in the top 5 for the most turkey frying accidents nationwide. Ariel Thomas, the public fire education officer for the Columbia Fire Department, has a few things to keep in mind.
You want to make sure that the turkey is thawed out completely because you're using deep fat frying oil, so you want to make sure you take all the precautions.
When frying a turkey this holiday season, keep these 2 things in mind. Stand 10 feet away from a building when you're frying a turkey, and always have a ABC fire extinguisher on hand. Turkey isn't the only thing you need to look out for while cooking this holiday season. If you are cooking anything with grease and it happens to catch on fire, never try to put it out with water.
With grease fires, you don't want to put water on it. If you can, put a lid on top of it and back out. But if you have an ABC fire extinguisher, you can attempt to put it out, but you want to make sure it's small enough for you to try to put it out. But you also want to call 911 at the start of any fire. Even if you're going to try to attempt to put it out, you want to call 911 first.
Even if you're not planning on cooking with oil, firefighters warn of other dangers to look out for in the kitchen.
If you have an oven fire, you want to make sure you don't open it up, because when you let oxygen in, that's when the fire grows bigger.
I'm going to go in the oven. I'm a traditional guy.
Regardless of how you're spending your Thanksgiving holiday, stay safe and plan accordingly. In Columbia, for Carolina News, I'm Joey Mattei. South Carolina's Air National Guard 169th Fighter Wing, which is stationed out of McEntire Air Force Base, was temporarily moved to Columbia Metropolitan Airport back in May of this year. A stay that was supposed to only last around 6 months is taking a little bit longer than expected.
Due to unforeseen circumstances, when we started the construction on the runway, there were just some hiccups that pushed us a little bit further back. There's actually a lot of science that goes into concrete, especially when it relates to the military, because it has to have the capacity to withstand certain loads, because it gets hit very regularly by heavy aircraft. So with that science and engineering, sometimes things just get pushed back a little bit.
The entire runway is being dug up and replaced at McEntire Air Force Base. After so many years, this has to be done to ensure the safety of pilots and aircraft. This is normally done every 10 years. The South Carolina Air National Guard is expected to stay in Columbia Airport for several more weeks and are expected to be back at McEntire by the beginning of February.
We are very accustomed to adapting to any situation. This has been a little bit of a different experience for us, but we've had a great relationship with the airport, and we're loving the support that we're getting from the community.
I do notice a lot more activity of the F-16s going overhead. Originally it used to scare me, but now I kind of look forward to it. I actually stop what I'm doing and go outside and try to film it.
So at the South Carolina Air National Guard, the common conception is that we only fly 1 weekend a month because that's our military requirement. However, we're a little bit different in the fact that we operate during the week as well.
Approximately 200 military personnel from the South Carolina Air National Guard have been working at Columbia Metropolitan Airport at any one time during the week. This number increases to around 300 people during their drill weekends, which occur once a month. For now, Columbia residents will continue to see these F-16s take off from Columbia Metropolitan Airport. In Columbia, Joey Mattei, Carolina News. Hi and welcome back. It is currently 93 degrees and sunny in Columbia. Humidity is around 43%, which is absolutely beautiful outside. The winds are coming north-northeast at 4 miles per hour. That's right, guys. We're definitely experiencing some cold temperatures outside today, and we're expecting them to drop even colder as we head into the overnight